Okay, in today's QNT video, first we are going to check out this area and see what's happening and do a quick analysis, and then we are going to zoom out a bit more because recently I saw a chart on Twitter that talked about a specific bullish possibility, and I do actually think that is a valid scenario, which is going to basically send QNT to the moon. So with that said, hi everyone, welcome back. I hope you're having a great time with your family and loved ones, and let's just dive in and see what is happening in the short term. And if you remember the last time that we talked about quant, I believe we were somewhere around these areas, and I was saying as long as we are between this and also this important area, we can say, okay, basically not a whole lot is going to happen, and we're just going to consolidate between these two range. And if we get, for example, in the short term, a move down in order to go under this level, pull back and a continuation of the move down, at that point from here we can say maybe we're gonna have about a 15 to 20% move on the downside in order to reach to somewhere around the next important support, which is somewhere around, let's say, $110. On the other hand, if from here we get a move up, and in that move we actually get a break of this region, at that point the road on the upside is going to be much more clear, and our move up is going to accelerate for quite a bit. So for now, in the short term, all eyes should be on this and also this level and see what is going to happen, and breaking each one of them can mean a very different thing, again, just in the short term. In the mid to long term, we are absolutely bullish. It doesn't really matter what is going to happen in this area, and for example, whether we're going to get a move down or maybe up. No, one way or the other, I fully believe in quant we are looking magnificent, and in this cycle we are going to see a huge move on the upside in order to at least set an all-time high and take the highest high around $450. Understood? Okay, because this is the extent of the short-term analysis that we're going to do in this video, and now it's time to zoom out a bit more and see what is happening. First things first, let me tell you, overall we are having the best possible structures in QNT in the long term. Why is that? You see, in case that you are a new viewer, these lines are basically in terms of Elliott waves, and if you want to argue, for example, we're going to have our final bottom around here and overall we're going to be bullish, then okay, we need to be able to find off of the lowest low in this region a 5-wave up. This specific example is a normal 5-wave. The rules for it are we should not have overlapping of the waves between wave 4 and 2, and in any kind of impulsive movement, wave 3 should not be the smallest wave, and for subwaves, you know it if you are a regular viewer, we must have 5-wave up into wave 1, 3 and 5. Let's change the colors to maybe white. There we go. And for wave 2 and 4 we can have many different possibilities, doesn't really matter. Let's say maybe like an ABC into wave 4, there we go, and a WXY into wave 2. Understood? Okay, because we are now gonna go on the live chart and count some waves and see why are we so optimistic in the long term. So let's zoom in more in here and start counting from the lowest low all the way down here, about $20. What do we have from here to about the all-time high? An extremely clear 1, 2, 3, 4, 5-wave up, and followed by that, according to my primary scenario, this whole move down, starting from the highest high and ending to about the lowest low in this region around $50, is a correction structure, and this is a fantastic bullish setup. Meaning, we can say, look, this is a wave 1, this is a wave 2 to about this point, and after our wave 2 is over, and I do think that it's over already, we are going to see a huge move up into wave 3 and 4 and 5, and this wave 3 is going to happen in this cycle. This is probably going to be our next bear market, and this is our next bull run, which is going to happen, let's say, in about a couple of years. Understood? Okay, this is my primary possibility. Now, recently I saw a chart on Twitter that said maybe instead of this point being the end of our wave 2 is actually going to be right around the lowest low in here, about $40. And in that case, they were saying, well, okay, this is the 1, this is the 2, and at the moment we are on our way to get a decent move up into wave 3 and then correction for another move up into wave 5, and this orange 5-wave up, at that point is going to be into a larger degree wave 3 and then correction for 4, another move up into wave 5, and they were saying something like this is going to happen in this cycle. Now, what's the difference between this and the previous possibility, which I'm having it at least at the moment as my primary case? Well, if this scenario is going to be in play, the target at the end of this bull run for QNT are going to be just astronomical. But I do have a couple of reasons for at least now to not consider this possibility as my primary case. Reason number one, you see, it is possible to find an impulsive movement in this move on the upside. And here is how. I can tell you, well, okay, this is a 5-wave up, and from here, this is a 1, this is a 2, big move up into wave 3, and this whole move down starting from this side and ending to about this point is going to be a correction for 4, I would say probably in form of a running flat structure, and this 5-wave up is into wave 1. This is possible, do not get me wrong. However, for now, I'm not going to have it as my primary scenario, and I do believe this looks quite a bit more like an ABC rather than an impulsive movement. This is my first reason. The second reason, if we're going to have a 1 and a 2 structure in here, and then we're going to say this move up is going to be into wave 3, then okay, next we're going to have a correction for 4, and then after it, another move up into wave 5. Now, in an impulsive movement, in Elliott waves, we are saying usually when wave 2 is going to be a deep correction, instead wave 4 is going to take its time and it's going to take longer than wave 2. Understood? Okay, let's go on the live chart and see, is this supposedly wave 2 a deep correction or not? Let's just read this one, excuse me. There we go. Let's measure it from this point to about here. As you can see, for our wave 2, we retraced to somewhere around the 90% of the Fibonacci retracement level for this wave 1, which in my books is definitely a very, very deep correction. So what's the message in here? If this is a 1, this is a 2, then we're going to have a wave 3, our correction for wave 4, which they say is going to happen in this cycle according to this scenario, is going to take quite a bit of time. How long exactly? Well, there is no certainty in any market and we cannot say anything for sure, but based on Elliott waves and the fact that wave 2 is a deep correction, we can say this is going to probably take longer than our wave 2 time invoice. So let's measure the length of our wave 2. As you can see, this wave 2 took about 2 years. Now, are you going to say that in quant, we are going to have our wave 4 taking more than 2 years, and then afterwards we're going to have another move up into wave 5, and all of these things are going to happen in this cycle, meaning this cycle is going to take more than 3 years? I just don't know about that one, and here is how I like to put it. If we're going to have a big move up in quant, which I am convinced that we are going to have it, at this point, if QNT hits my target, I'm just not going to wait for this scenario to play out, and I would much rather to get out of most of my positions in QNT and save some profit. And then, okay, fair enough, if I was wrong and we had in here, let's say a relatively shallow correction structure, which is going to take some time, okay, then I'm gonna have plenty of time to get in QNT right around these low prices in hope that we get another phase of the bull run. But for now, having a 2-step alt season, which is going to take more than 2-3 years, I just find that very, very hard to believe. And finally, I want to be very clear. I do actually see a scenario which in QNT, we're not going to have a deep correction after this phase of the bull run is over. And for example, we are going to just consolidate in here, but that depends, I would say, heavily on Fed's policies. And basically, it's the question of whether their top priority is controlling inflation or stop labor market from deteriorating and basically avoid higher unemployment rate. Because if you are going to go in that direction, then okay, fair enough. Odds are we are going to see a period of stagflation in the next couple of years. I would say probably 10 years. And at that point, we can say, okay, any kind of corrective movements that we are going to have in assets are not going to be that deep. And we can expect just assets to continue setting higher highs and high lows. However, If the Fed's top priority is going to be controlling inflation, then okay, they are just going to keep raising interest rates, which will cause stock market, crypto market, and also probably commodity market, but not gold, having some serious moves on the downside. But the thing is, this is the futures problem. For now, I'm just going to focus on this part of the price action in QNT, which is going to happen in the next couple of months. And then I think at that point, we can have a better view of what are the Fed's policies. So let's have our final conclusion and wrap up today's video. If in QNT, starting from here, we're going to have a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 into a larger degree wave 3, then okay, targets are going to be astronomical. And at that point, QNT might actually even crack the top 10. However, for now, at least, based on what I'm seeing, I'm not going to really count out that possibility. And I'm just going to say, probably we are having a wave 1, this is a wave 2. And in this bull run, we are going to have this huge wave 3, which is going to be absolutely magnificent. And then we're going to have a bear market into wave 4. And after it, another big move up into wave 5, which is going to be for the next bull run. So I hope I explained everything well and you understood what is going on in QNT's chart. Anyway, if you found any value in my content, I would really appreciate if you like this video and consider subscribing to my channel and follow me on Twitter. And if you want more, maybe you want a complete analysis for your own specific crypto, or maybe you want to learn some decent TA in order to be able to make good money in the markets, you can become a member and ask me anything you want. And until the next video, I hope you have a wonderful time with your family and loved ones. Goodbye.